Okay then, we have had the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet looked very different this year for Tier 2, as last year in 2019, it was a showmanship of the entire Tier 2 scene, where we got to see every single region get together and show just who's best. Back then, Korea came out on top, as you know, perhaps would kind of expect with Element Mystic. But this year, it's different. COVID is obviously a thing, and therefore, the Gauntlet was divided up into 4 regions: South America, EU, the Asia region, and then the North American region, where you would find a Gauntlet winner from each region, and then when there would be an Atlantic showdown, where we would see the best team in the Western Hemisphere, shall we say, between NA and EU. We've always seen the Atlantic showdown, and this year it would be very interesting. So, we are going to go through the knockouts for all the regions, and then if I can, I will go get around to the Atlantic Showdown, which has been one hell of a match, I can say that right now, because it's actually on right now as I'm recording it. So, yeah. Interesting. So, we'll start out with South America, I think. They had it was a little bit different. Some regions have slightly different ways in which they decided their gauntlet and stuff like that. There was massive qualifications and all that. But there were 2 groups in South America where people would battle it out, and then there was a knockout stage. Let's go through that very brief knockout stage in South America, where we saw, and they say take on Warpigs. This was a 4-2-4 Warpigs. Warpigs, a great team in South America, and they say also one of those teams at the very top of their game in South America. Obviously, they like the Doomfist, and they'd end up coming out a little bit short. And then we have Majestos going up against Aggressive. Majestos, they are linked to Noble, who are in North American Contenders. So it's a little bit of an org thing going on there. Majestos got a 4-0 win over Aggressive. Not too much to be surprised about there. Then we see other teams come in here at the semi-finals, the higher seeded teams. And it's actually very interesting to see how this worked out. So, Mulcada de Bem, and if I'm getting that wrong, then I apologise, took on Warpigs. This was a 4-2 for Warpigs again. Again, Warpigs are a very good team, and I would expect them to be one of the finalists in a gauntlet for South America, and that they are. And then we see Dignity take on Majestos. Dignity were a team that was actually very dominant back along in South America, and not so much these days. There's more competitiveness in South America, Majestos being one of those teams, and Majestos got a 4-2 win over Dignity. So the two teams coming in at that stage, who were arguably higher seeds, both went out in 4-2 losses to the people coming from the quarterfinals of the knockout stage. This set up a final between Warpigs and Majestos, and this gave us a 4-2 win for Warpigs to crown Warpigs the champions of the gauntlet in South America. I wish them very many happy returns this Christmas, I suppose. And I hope they enjoy their lovely winnings and everything. Very well deserved. Now we will move, I think, to the EU. Let's go to the EU, shall we? Right. Much bigger bracket. Much bigger bracket. Let's start off with winners bracket round 1. Oldham Board would take on Dubai Sandstorm. So Dubai Sandstorm we're getting a 3-1 here. New Kings would take on Choose Money Crew EU. This would be a 3-0 win for New Kings. Young and Beautiful would take on AOA. This would be a 3-0 win for Young and Beautiful, and Avoided would take on OT Pog. And this would be a 3-1 win for Avoided. Moving on to the winners quarterfinals, where we see some higher seeded teams come in. Obey Alliance, a very big team in Europe, taking on Dubai Sandstorm. This would be a 3-1 win for Obey Alliance. Then we see Ex Oblivione taking on New Kings. This is a 3-2 win for Ex Oblivione. New Kings are a fairly new team. Haha. Made up of some XL players originally. Ex Oblivione being one of those good teams in the European region. Not surprised that they get the win here. Sheer Cold would take on Young and Beautiful. This would be a 3-0 win for Sheer Cold. I thought Young and Beautiful could make that closer, but they didn't in the end. Good win for Sheer Cold. And then the mighty British Hurricane, who have been dominant in Europe a lot, apart from the very last end of this season where they lost to Obey Alliance. That's the only thing they've actually dropped this year. They get a 3-0 win against Avoided. Not too much of a surprise there, with British Hurricane being arguably the best team in that region by far. Losers bracket round 1 saw New Kings take on AOA. This is a 3-1 win for New Kings. Dubai Sandstorm took on OT Pog. This would be a 3-0 win for Dubai Sandstorm. Avoided would take on Oldham Board. This would be a 3-0 win for Oldham Board. And Young and Beautiful would take on Choose Money Crew EU. 3-0 win for Choose Money Crew EU here. Not too surprising, those results, I'm not going to lie. Choose Money Crew EU would go on to play Oldham Board in that losers bracket round 2, where they got a 3-0 win. Old and bored. They tried something coming into this gauntlet. It's got them okay. It's got them an okay amount of success, but it hasn't been the success I'm sure they would have hoped for. And due to Recruit EU, again, a bit of an old hat in the EU now, and they are showing their experience. Then New Kings will take on Dubai Sandstorm. This will be a 3-0 win for New Kings. Again, not too surprised about that, with New Kings having experience on their roster. Now we move back to the winners bracket though, with the semi-finals, with Obey Alliance taking on Ex Oblivione. This will be a 3-2 win for Obey Alliance. This is a really close match. Incredibly close match. Ex Oblivione are a really good team, but so are Obey Alliance. Obey Alliance are the only team that have been able to take down the British Hurricane in EU this year, and it shows. They've got that little bit of clutch. And Obey Alliance, there's a few of their players moving up to the Overwatch League with Paris Eternal in 2021. So there's something to be keeping an eye on. Very, very interesting. Then we saw Sheer Cold take on British Hurricane. This would be a 3-1 win for British Hurricane. Not too surprising to be seeing that. And just British Hurricane, they have a clutch factor a lot of the time, and it really, really shows in some of these matches. It's crazy, to be quite honest with you. Moving to the losers bracket round 3 though, Sheer Cold will take on New Kings. This will be a 3-1 win for Sheer Cold. And then Ex Oblivione will take on Choose Recruit EU, and this will be a quite stark 3-0 for Ex Oblivione. Ex Oblivione really showing their class against the Shoes Recruit EU. With losers bracket round 4 setting up with Sheer Cold and Ex Oblivione going up against each other, and this would be a 3-1 win for Ex Oblivione. Again, Ex Oblivione definitely the third best team in this competition, but could they take it any further? That was the question. Well, we had to have the winners bracket final first. This was British Hurricane taking on Obey Alliance. This would be a 3-0 win for British Hurricane. That is one hell of a win against a team that not clapped you. Well, they did clap them because they lost to Yo, but really took you by surprise, shall we say, in the last parts of season 2 of Contenders in Europe. But they managed to clap back. They get a 3-0 win in the winners final. That means that British Hurricane were the first team in the grand finals, but who would they face? Would it be Obey Alliance or Ex Oblivione? This was a really close match, but this goes to the way of Obey Alliance. Again, not too surprising. Obey Alliance are that just very ever so slight better than Ex Oblivione, and it does show. So this meant that Obey Alliance went into another match against British Hurricane in the grand finals of the Gauntlet for EU, and this was a surprise because I'm not going to lie, I thought this would be close, and the maps weren't. I mean, individual maps were closer than perhaps you would look at the scoreline, but the scoreline was not close. This was a 4-0 for British Hurricane. They are the Gauntlet champions for Europe in 2020. Very well deserved. They've been the team that has been on top in Europe the whole way through. I don't think anyone can argue with that. Obey Alliance gave it a very good shot. I'm not going to lie. But British Hurricane come back and they dropped just one map in this entire gauntlet. And that is what British Hurricane have been doing an incredible amount throughout this season. And it is just crazy. It is just crazy. So, let's move over to Korea then. That's where we will go next. And this, again, was a little bit of a shorter bracket. In round 1, we saw Team CC. So, I say Korea, this is actually Asia. I get confused with the regions sometimes. We see Team CC take on Gen G. So, this was an amalgamation, a lot of Asia, including Korea, China, and Australia, and the Pacific. Now, the Australian and Pacific teams were A-Bang and Ground Zero Gaming. They both went out in the group stages. Also going out in the group stages, we saw First Fabulous Fighter, who are a Chinese team. They went out in the group stages as well, alongside Billy Gaming, who never made it through. So, in fact, everyone coming through from the group stages, you would be surprised that it was 3 Korean teams and one Chinese team. Yeah. So A-Bang, First Fabulous Fighter, Ground Zero, and Billy all went out at the group stage of this, and then we were set up with Team CC taking on Gen G. This would be a 3-1 win for Team CC. Team CC, they didn't actually win China in the final season of Chinese Contenders this year. It was actually Flag Gaming that won that, which will be coming up in a minute. But Team CC have been dominant in China. Very much like British Hurricane have been dominant in the EU. So they are a very, very good team and not to be taken lightly. This was a 3-1 win for Team CC. They move on. That's not too much of a surprise. Then we see Runaway taking on Element Mystic. My goodness me. What a historical game. Runaway run out with the 3-2 win against Element Mystic. Not too much of a surprise. Mystic want to try and hold on to their Gauntlet title. It's going to be very tough considering this is a team that is disbanding at the end of this tournament, basically, or going on hiatus, you one or the other. And Runaway, they've lost Mag to some respect, but they are still able to play him, I believe. And it's been an interesting one for Runaway. That I don't think the power level in Korea is as stark as it was, and I think this Gauntlet really shows that. Anyway, moving on to round 2, where we see WGS Phoenix, Korean Contenders winners, take on Team CC, second place in Chinese Contenders. This is a 3-1 win for Team CC. Massive win for Team CC. WGS Phoenix will be very disappointed with that, I am sure. And yeah, I mean, they have a losers bracket to go down to, so it's not too much of a problem. But I'm sure WGS Phoenix would seen as probably favourites for that. So it is an upset. Then we saw Flag Gaming, winners of China, go up against the second place team from Korea, Runaway. This was not close. This was Runaway getting a 3-0 over Flag Gaming. Experience at the top level can mean a lot of things sometimes, and that'll be the difference between Flag Gaming and Team CC, I can tell you that now. And it'll also be the difference between Runaway and Element Mystic, considering Element Mystic's roster is a little bit, not Frankenstein, perhaps that's the wrong word, but not as powerful as it used to be, shall we say. But then we move on and we see the losers bracket round 1, where we see Flag Gaming take on Gen G. This was a 3-0 win for Gen G. Flag Gaming failed to pick up a single map in this gauntlet, considering they were Chinese Contenders winners. That is rough. That is rough. I don't think anyone's gonna beat around the bush there. It is very rough for Flag Gaming, and they will regroup and go back for Chinese Contenders in 2021. Then we had a massive match between Element Mystic and WGS Phoenix, where Element Mystic run out 3-2 winners over the current Korean Contenders winners. That is insane. Actually insane. WGS Phoenix failed to win a match in the Gauntlet, considering they're Korean Contenders winners. I don't think anyone would have expected that. WGS Phoenix would have gone into this as favourites. And it is a big surprise that they go out failing to win a match. It really, really is. And that will be one that will stick in the minds of those WGS Phoenix players, as some of them even moved to the Overwatch League as TAC and people like that. It's a rough one, and I'm sure they will regroup and go again next year. But then we have the losers bracket round 2, which was set up between Gen G and Element Mystic. Element Mystic gave this their all. You could see there was passion for Element Mystic here to try and retain that title, but unfortunately they could not come away with it. Gen G got a 3-2 win over Element Mystic to put themselves in the losers bracket final. Who would they be playing though? Would it be Team CC or would it be Runaway? This is extraordinary. I'm not going to lie. Team CC get a 3-1 win over Runaway. Oh boy. We have seen the power level of China increasing, and this is very much evidence of that. They are trading blow for blow with Korea right now, and I don't think we can ever I don't think we've ever seen a situation where we've seen China be able to go blow to blow with top Korean teams. So China is not to be slept on right now, and this could be a very good indication for the Chengdu Hunters in the Overwatch League going into 2021. So that's something definitely to keep an eye on, and the Hangzhou Spark as well. But this dumped Runaway down into the losers bracket final against Gen G. This was close again, but Gen G clutched it out with a 3-2 win over Runaway. Runaway, that elusive Gauntlet title still eludes them. This is 2 years in a row where they have failed and got very, very close. This is third place for Runaway, and this will hurt. This will hurt Runaway, I am sure. And they will regroup once again, as Runaway always do, and come back for 2021 and see if they can get the Korean Contenders titles and another shot of the Gauntlet, and sure at the end of the year. This set up a grand final between Team CC and Gen G though. Gen G are a team that I thought would never make it to the finals. Gen G have not been outstanding in this Korean Contenders season, shall we say. It's not been them on top. It's generally been teams like WGS, Runaway, O2 Blast at one point. And it's a surprise. It's a surprise. But they do go into the final against Team CC, first to 4, and Team CC get a 4-1 win. Team CC of China are the Asia Gauntlet winners for 2020. That is extraordinary. Absolutely extraordinary. I did not expect to be saying that a Chinese team would be winning the Gauntlet. A lot of people would have put Runaway, WGS Phoenix, even Flag Gaming perhaps over Team CC. Massive massive for Team CC. I don't think there's anything to be ashamed of for Gen G either. But Team CC they've not just scraped this, they have pretty well beaten Gen G, Runaway, and WGS Phoenix. The top teams in Korea, basically. Apart from Gen G is an exception, but Runaway and WGS, that's 1 and 2 in Korea. And Team CC they've just got rid of them. They've just got rid of them. It's pretty extraordinary. Team CC are the best team in Asia right now. And a lot of their players are being promoted to the Overwatch League, either with Chengdu Hunters or with Hangzhou Spark. It is going to be very interesting to see what those players do in the Overwatch League season for 2021. That leaves us with one region though, North America. So, in the winners bracket round 1, we saw Square 1 take on Kratos. This was a 3-2 win for Square 1. Revival would take on Quara. This would be a 3-0 win for Revival. Drifters would take on LFT. This would be a 3-1 win for LFT. And Uprising Academy would take on Dark Mode NA. And this would be a 3-1 win for Uprising Academy. Then we move into the winners quarterfinals, where we saw American Tornado, one of the top seeds, or the top seed in North America, come in and take on Square 1. This would be a 3-1 win for American Tornado. Noble would take on Revival. A very, very close match, but this would be a 3-2 win for Noble in really odd circumstances, with Noble playing people on off roles and stuff like that, including ex-Revival players. This has been a really rough gauntlet for Revival. Very, very rough gauntlet for Revival. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they blow back from this one. Susanoo would take on LFT. This would be a 3-2 win for LFT, a bit of a surprise there. And then Odyssey taking on Uprising Academy. This would be a 3-0 win for Odyssey. Again, not too much of a surprise. And losers bracket round 1, we saw Revival taking on Drifters. Revival do get back to winning ways with a 3-1 win over Drifters. Square 1 will take on Dark Mode NA. This is a 3-2 win for Dark Mode NA. Dark Mode NA, massive, massive comeback for that team in this gauntlet, not gonna lie. Uprising Academy would take on Kratos. This would be a 3-0 win for the only current Overwatch League Academy team in North America, Uprising Academy. Then Susanoo would take on Quara. This would be a 3-0 win for Susanoo. Then in losers bracket round 2, we saw Revival take on Dark Mode. Dark Mode would dump Revival out 3-0. Yeah, it's been a very rough gauntlet, as I said, for Revival, and they've got a lot of work to do. However, Dark Mode NA, with JMac and Muma on the coaching, are doing very well. Then we saw Uprising Academy take on Susanoo, and this is a 3-1 win for Uprising Academy, a team that has made a lot of improvements recently. In the winners bracket semi-final, we saw American Tornado take on Noble, I should say. They did not take on themselves. This is a 3-0 win for American Tornado. Again, a team that have been starting to, dominate North America, American Tornado now, and they really want that match against British Hurricane. It's pretty obvious. Then we saw LFT take on Odyssey. This is a 3-0 win for Odyssey, a 3-2 win for Odyssey, I should say. Again, not too much of a surprise that Odyssey get the win here. In the losers bracket round 3, we saw Dark Mode NA take on LFT. This would be a 3-1 win for Dark Mode NA. Again, Dark Mode NA continuing that run through the losers bracket, looking really good. Noble took on Uprising Academy. A really close match, but a 3-2 win for Uprising Academy would take him into the losers bracket round 4 match against Dark Mode, where they would get 3-1'd by Dark Mode. Dark Mode get at least 3rd place in this tournament. That is incredible for a team that, really hasn't done anything. Really hasn't done anything. Massive turnaround for Dark Mode. They're really coming and snapping back. We move back to the winners bracket now, where we see the winners final between American Tornado and Odyssey. Again, it's another sweep for American Tornado, getting a 3-0 here. It's kind of rough, not gonna lie. American Tornado are a very good team. Odyssey dropped down to the losers bracket, where they would play Dark Mode NA. This would be a 3-2 win for Odyssey, the end of Dark Mode NA's run, but something very much to be proud of. Dark Mode have done very, very well in this gauntlet, exceeded everyone's expectations. They should be very, very proud of where they've got to. Setting up a final between American Tornado and Odyssey. This would be a 4-0 for American Tornado. American Tornado are your gauntlet winners for North America, setting up an Atlantic showdown between, yes, British Hurricane and American Tornado. I think it is pretty much the Atlantic showdown that everyone wanted. I will cover the Atlantic showdowns another time, as the results are not even currently in yet, for me anyway. And it's incredibly interesting. Incredibly interesting, and there's been some real surprises. Team CC pushing through in Korea. In Asia, I keep saying Korea. In Asia, it's been incredible. And then the dominance of British Hurricane and American Tornado really showing in their respective regions. Definitely the best teams in those regions, and it's going to be incredibly interesting to see which one is the top of the pack in the West. But for now, Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you'd like to give it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.